Hey yo! This originally was supposed to be a video about how not to crash out at the Frontier Workshop, but I think I'm gonna crash out about the Frontier Workshop. I went through some of the comparisons between the Steam Workshop and the Frontier Workshop that is new for Planet Coaster 2, and honestly the difference is night and day. There are some pretty significant differences between this era of Planet Coaster 2 and the previous one where the user-generated content was just held on Steam. We're going to go through all of the differences one by one. We'll see exactly how one format shapes up over another, and why we might have reason to worry right now. Let's start with how the Steam Workshop operated. You could only hit a star ranking, or a visible star ranking, once your item reached 25 votes. Moderation was done at Steam itself, so the Frontier developers didn't have to go through each and every individual workshop creation and make sure that it was all above board. There was no compatibility for console users at the time, as console edition for Planet Coaster was actually something that was added much later. TMTK supported objects were available through Steam. This was more towards the end of its life cycle, but it was still possible to get some of that stuff, and there are even users like Tommy T that are still making content for Planet Coaster even now, and he probably appreciates having so much stuff available in the workshop. The Steam Workshop remains in use and is still workable even today after online functionality got turned off through Frontier's own servers there. Mods can be hosted as their own specific items, and items would automatically update as the original item changes, which is really important for mods specifically. Multiple screenshots per item were allowed. Newly updated items would not get republished in the created screen. This will be important later, trust me. And individual items had comment forums, so users could talk about different items with the author if they so chose. Now let's look at the Planet Coaster 2 workshop. The star rating shows regardless in-game, but it only shows rankings on the web at 10 votes. So there's a bit of a mismatch there. Moderation is done in-house. It is console and PC compatible, even with mod-specific items shareable. This is probably the biggest thing that's going for it. There's no TMTK or a Toolmaker's Toolkit yet. For the longevity of the game, we should hope that's not going to be anytime soon. It's also directly linked to online services, so if Frontier servers go down, everything goes down. This was felt pretty recently when it was down over the weekend. Everything from franchise to the workshop was completely down. Mods must be downloaded externally. Item updates must be visited by your subscriptions page in order to get updated changes. And even then, you have to manually go in and click download update. There's only one screenshot per item. Newly updated items get sent to the publish date screen, which intermixes with new items to the workshop. There's a separation between these terms online, but not in-game. So what I mean by this is if an item gets updated, it will be sent to the same screen as the created items are sent to. So if an item has 700 subscriptions, it can be paired up against another item which only has 2, which is not very helpful. Items are only bulletins where the information you get is the code, screenshot, and item ranking besides the description. So they're very simple, gives you only the information that they deem you need necessary for downloading something. Let's examine some of the pros and cons. Let's start with the Steam Workshop. It hosts a tried and true format for showing users the most popular items and cycles through them based on recent popularity history. This is a pretty good way to go about it. It also works as long as Steam works, independent of Frontier servers. And its relevance is based on search, which is accurate. So you can type in whatever you need, and it'll show you exactly what you're looking for, as close as it can anyway. What about the cons of the Steam Workshop? Well, it lacks cross-platform compatibility from the concept alone. This is the exact reason why Frontier moved away from it. Although, I do wonder if Planet Coaster 2 was not cross-platform, would they have kept with Steam? It's also slow during certain peak hours, and dependent on Steam's server health. So Steam is not infallible, it does go down sometimes, and it can be slow. What about the Planet Coaster 2 workshop? On the pro side, it has cross-platform compatibility, which is exactly what Frontier was looking for. Control gives them access to feature blueprints relevant to workshop challenges that Frontier run. So if you're not already familiar, on x.com, they put out posts every now and then, pretty much every month, talking about how they'll feature certain blueprints if they fit with a specific theme well enough. You just put it in the title of your workshop item, and then it shows up there. And these types of objects get a lot of traction, as I have personally experienced. The cons of the Planet Coaster 2 workshop. If Frontier wants this type of thing shut down, it can stay offline as long as they want it to be. It's also linked to Frontier's own servers, so if it goes down by accident or during a weekend, it won't come back until employees are back in office, which the community has sadly experienced fairly recently. It actually gave me a bit of a spook. I pulled everything from franchise mode so that I could at least work in the background when stuff like that is happening. It is also painfully simple, very rudimentary, and only one-word search and filters make it more difficult to find what you're looking for than the alternative. Real talk, I want to focus on how Frontier having complete control of the workshop is actually a very reductive thing. User-generated content is what a lot of these games thrive on. In fact, if you look through any games that were made in the past decade, or even 2 decades, that were very heavily focused on user-generated content and servers were going down, the community comes together to send off one last hurrah in most of those cases. What's immediately coming to mind is the Super Mario Maker instance, where a lot of people were trying to beat all of the hardest levels before the servers went down, at least the ones that were completable. It was a great show of everything, but the reality is, if Nintendo had just kept those servers up, everyone could still freely play all of those levels that people worked so hard to put together. Now we're in a similar scenario for Planet Coaster 2, where it's basically a ticking bomb. Unless there is a long-term solution that Frontier have planned, or they want to feature certain blueprints forever in a specific state and import them into the game. I can only imagine that would be a lot of items to look through in the search bar though, so I don't know how they would handle this. But what I'm saying here is, it's not looking very good. I am really concerned about the state of the workshop for the future. I would like to bring up another point too. It's more speculation. If past experience is anything to go by, with many publishers, the day will come when they pull the plug and the workshop is down for good. And there's no real replacement or care for the user base still playing those games. I really hope this isn't the case. It feels like Frontier is trying to throw us a bone and keep things alive, but who knows what their long-term play is. Planet Coaster 2 has not performed the best, and I feel like if it's not generating them much money, then their care for the player base is not going to reflect that. There are some older databases which are put together by various users for different games. RCT Universe was one of those. I'm not super familiar with it, but most places have a database that you can go to figure out where some of these pieces are that you can put into your own game. You might have to put in these files manually, but at least it's something. From a developer point of view, I feel like we all kind of understand the Frontier Workshop. It gives them control, lets them feature things. It's really good for them. There's not really a community aspect though, because of how rudimentary everything feels. Planet Coaster 1 is still thriving today because it's not tied to this workshop model. For what it's worth, the Steam Workshop is actually free, basically. In Planet Coaster 2, and what seems to be Planet Zoo 2 as well, and this new Planet game, it looks like they're going to host everything themselves. Frontier, I mean. And them being stuck in the system, it means that their lifespans are going to take a hit. Unless Frontier plans to just run these workshops forever, which I severely doubt. I think that eventually Planet Coaster has to stop being developed. Then I don't foresee online functionality staying around forever. And if Frontier even takes the step of making things impossible to upload after end of service, then people are going to slowly stop playing because nothing is happening. They can't upload to the servers. In a worst case scenario, they might not even be able to access the servers. So I foresee something being very necessary here. The Planet games need something to keep that spark alive. There were times in the past where a database was that thing that helped. For Planet Coaster 2, and for the future Planet games as well, there is that database. It's not hosting blueprints right now, but it is actually hosting the codes for these things, as well as some additional user-generated content, audio tracks, and artwork, and pretty much everything in between. It's even got its own forum. I'm personally partnered with Plancoverse because I see the potential for this being a very good long-term play, and I hope that it can help players continue to make their own content and be excited about sharing it with others. The website is currently in its public beta, but if you haven't seen it already, you should probably go check it out. There's a lot of plans coming in the future for this particular platform, including a guides page where you can find everything that I usually talk about in one central location, which I view as incredibly helpful. I could do something like this through Reddit and some other forums too, but I don't feel like there's quite a solid place to find all of this centralized YouTube and otherwise guides. But basically, Plancoverse is trying to do what Steam does. It might be a little slower at times, especially for revealing and copying the code, but it includes many features that the Steam Workshop likes to have too, like multiple screenshots, a comments forum, and there are even forums on the side, so it's basically what the Steam extension for a game is, built into its own place where you can also download and use certain items. It's really exciting, and I hope that you see the use for something like this. I know I certainly do. The only downside that I personally find right now is that it takes time to upload everything, and this is something that I would also say about the regular workshop too. It just takes forever to get everything uploaded, and adding another workshop on top of that means that you have to vet everything twice instead of just once. That's not really a flaw with the system, it's just a flaw with the fact that I have to spend more time doing it. Honestly, there are more features in Plancoverse that I haven't even explored yet, but I hope that maybe you can find some interesting things there. Specifically, some people have uploaded some pieces that are designed for billboards and audio tracks and stuff that you won't find on the Frontier Workshop because it's external. But if you're into custom media for your parks, then this is a great way to do it. So if you're on PC, give it a look and let me know what you think about it. Again, this is only in beta, but it will progressively get better over time. The developer is very dedicated to making all of this a success. Using feedback, he wants to make it the best that it can be. Although I feel it does need to be said at the end of the day that Plancoverse or any site that's similar to it is more important than people understand in the current moment. This is because there is a volatility with the workshop that is not expressly explained by Frontier. If servers go down, the workshop goes down. When they're done developing for the game and decide that it's ready to go, they can just shut it off. And Plancoverse is one step towards making sure that we immortalize some of the pieces that people put together. We need a backup for user-generated content because the community is the core of this game. For what it's worth, the workshop helps people build so much faster. And if it's not there, people will just stop playing. And Planet Coaster 2 is very important. At least it will be until Planet Coaster 3 eventually comes out, if that's ever in the future. But anyway, those are my thoughts. I want to thank you very much for listening to this. If you have any questions or any points to bring up that I maybe forgot, or that can challenge my viewpoint and maybe I can expand on how I feel, I'd be more than happy to address any comments that you leave down below. As always, have a good one. That's an order. Follow it, good soldier.